What if I told you that you were chosen long before you were born to be the first in your bloodline to break the chain of struggle? Every sleepless night, every closed door, every moment you felt unseen was not punishment, but preparation. You were not born into lack by accident. You were placed there as proof that a man can rise from dust and command his destiny. Your family story has waited centuries for one mind strong enough to rewrite it, and that mind is yours. You can feel it, can't you? The quiet certainty that you are different, that something burns in you that no one else around you seems to carry. That is not imagination. It is inheritance, the inheritance of purpose. The world will try to make you forget this truth. It will call you unrealistic, reckless, too ambitious. But deep within you know you were not sent here to repeat the life you came from. You were sent to end it. Every man before you settled, you will not. Every generation before us. But deep within you know you were not sent here to repeat the life you came from. You were sent to end it. Every man before you settled, you will not. Every generation before you bowed to circumstance, you will command it. You were chosen to build what your fathers only dreamed, to make wealth a family tradition, not a wish. So listen closely. What you are about to hear is not a story of money. It is the awakening of a destiny. You will understand why struggle ran in your family until it ran into you. And by the end, you will know exactly how to claim what was waiting for you all along. Because you were not born to watch wealth from afar. You were born to hold it, to multiply it, to pass it down. You were chosen. And now you must become the proof. There are no accidents in your struggle. Every hardship that has burned through your life has been placed there with divine precision. I have learned that within every man there runs a spiritual lineage. Accidents in your struggle. Every hardship that has burned through your life has been placed there with divine precision. I have learned that within every man there runs a spiritual lineage older than his name, a silent bloodline of desire that cries out to be fulfilled. You are not merely one man seeking wealth. You are the appointed heir of unfinished dreams. You were not chosen for comfort. You were chosen for completion. The desires that stir restlessly within your heart are not yours alone. They are the echo of generations who longed, worked, failed, and passed the torch into your hands. Within you, their unfulfilled ambitions find voice. Their courage and pain have fused into the unseen current that drives you forward. Your struggle is not proof that the heavens have turned from you. It is evidence that the heavens are preparing you. Every difficulty you endure is a refining fire shaping the instrument of destiny. Those who came before could not from you. It is evidence that the heavens are preparing you. Every difficulty you endure is a refining fire shaping the instrument of destiny. Those who came before could not bear the full weight of their dream. You have been chosen to bear it for them. You are the culmination of 1,000 prayers and the answer to 1,000 failures. Each ancestor has placed a fragment of strength within your spirit. And those fragments have gathered into the mighty power that now seeks expression as your definite chief aim. It is no accident that you hunger for freedom, mastery, and abundance. Those desires are the continuation of a sacred inheritance, an inheritance of spirit, not of gold. Wealth, therefore, is not a personal privilege. It is a spiritual responsibility. It is the redemption of wasted potential. It is the restoration of the honor of your bloodline. Every dollar you earn in faith, every plan you execute in definite tests, every fear it is the redemption of wasted potential. It is the restoration of the honor of your bloodline. Every dollar you earn in faith, every plan you execute in definite tests, every fear you conquer through persistence adds light to the memory of those who could not finish what they began. When Henry Ford rose from the poverty of a farm boy to become the architect of an empire, he did not inherit gold. He inherited grit. His lineage gave him endurance, not luxury. The sweat of his fathers became the seed of his resolve. Poverty was his training ground. Labor was his preparation for mastery. He proved that greatness must first be buried before it can rise, that the seed must sink into the dark soil before it can touch the sun. Do not curse the soil from which you came. It is buried within it the nutrients of greatness. The man who despises his beginning despises the roots of his strength. Remember, the first millionaire in any family is always the hungriest of greatness. The man who despises his beginning despises the roots of his strength. Remember, the first millionaire in any family is always the hungriest, for he feeds not only his own need, but the silent hunger of his entire bloodline. Preparation through poverty is the first law of mastery. Adversity forces upon a man the discipline he would never choose. It cleanses the heart of weakness and teaches the hands the sacred rhythm of work. Every hour of hardship is a deposit in the bank of destiny. When the time of harvest comes, it will repay you with compound interest. The seed that is buried does not die. It transforms. So it is with you. The darkness you face is not your burial. It is your gestation. Life is preparing to bring forth the fullness of what you are meant to become. Every seeming loss, every closed door, every delay is a part of your formation. Rise then as the appointed redeemer of your line. Stand as the answer to generations of what you are meant to become. Every seeming loss, every closed door, every delay is a part of your formation. Rise then as the appointed redeemer of your line. Stand as the answer to generations of toil. You are the living proof that no dream ever truly dies. It merely waits for a worthy heir. Say to yourself now, I am not cursed by my past. I am crowned by it. Faith then becomes your blood oath, the invisible covenant between you and the unseen forces that guide success. You do not need to beg heaven for riches. You need only fulfill the agreement already written in the secret places of your heart. That covenant declares, if you will act in faith, life will act in your favor. Take a sheet of paper and write your family's new covenant with wealth. Write it as law. Write that through you, the family rises from labor to leadership, from fear to faith, from need to abundance. Read it each morning and night until it becomes your living. Write that through you, the family rises from labor to leadership, from fear to faith, from need to abundance. Read it each morning and night until it becomes your living command. You must no longer think as a beggar who hopes for fortune. You must think as the patriarch of wealth who commands it. You are not pleading for your inheritance. You are enforcing it. The wealth you seek is already your rightful possession in the unseen realm, awaiting your discipline and definiteness to bring it forth. Every man who builds an empire first becomes an empire within himself. You must become the foundation upon which your descendants will build. Your name must become synonymous with victory, so that those who come after may never again taste fear. When they speak your name, it must sound like a trumpet of courage echoing through time. You have been born into the age of fulfillment, chosen to complete what was left undone. You are the living bridge between what your ancestors of courage echoing through time. You have been born into the age of fulfillment, chosen to complete what was left undone. You are the living bridge between what your ancestors dreamed and what your descendants will inherit. You must not fail, for through you, the dead are redeemed and the unborn are delivered. From this day forward, walk with the awareness that every step you take is a step taken by generations. Every victory you win releases the silent power of your entire lineage. Every act of courage writes a new chapter in the eternal story of your blood. Repeat to yourself daily, I am the chosen seed of success. I am the living proof that struggle refines, not ruins. My faith is my covenant. My discipline is my weapon. My purpose is my inheritance. You are not sent here to escape difficulty. You were sent here to master it. That mastery will not only enrich your life, it will set free every soul bound by the memory of failure in your family. You are not sent here to escape difficulty. You were sent here to master it. That mastery will not only enrich your life, it will set free every soul bound by the memory of failure in your family. Your triumph is not a selfish act. It is an act of redemption. Hold fast then to your definite chief aim. Guard it as sacred fire. Feed it with your faith. Protect it with your persistence, and it will reward you with a destiny greater than any single man could earn. For when one man awakens, and it will reward you with a destiny greater than any single man could earn. For when one man awakens, an entire bloodline rises. There exists a divine law that governs every word spoken with conviction. Words are not casual sounds thrown into the air. They are living instruments of creation. Through speech, man translates invisible thought into visible reality. Every civilization, every empire, every fortune began when a man declared his vision aloud. Behind every act of creation stands a single truth. thought clothed in the power of command. Faith in its highest form is mental command. It is the spiritual authority by which man shapes the substance of his world. A man's tongue is not merely an organ of sound. It is the scepter of his mind. What one continually affirms in faith becomes the law of his destiny. Speak in uncertainty and life returns confusion. Speak with definiteness and the universe bends to your decree. This is no poetic fancy. It is the same law by which every successful man has organized his fortune. Thomas Edison did not merely dream of light, bends to your decree. This is no poetic fancy. It is the same law by which every successful man has organized his fortune. Thomas Edison did not merely dream of light, he spoke it into existence. Before the first filament glowed, he had already declared that light would yield to human mastery. That declaration became a command upon the unseen forces of intelligence. The mind that commands without hesitation opens the doors that doubt forever keep shut. When Edison said, "It shall be done," every atom in his world began to arrange itself in obedience to his conviction. This is the law of command, that every word spoken with purpose and belief carries the power to mold reality. Thought is creative. Speech directs its course. The world moves in rhythm with the words men believe. When a man declares, "I will succeed," and repeats that declaration with burning certainty, he sends that declaration with burning certainty, he sends forth a vibration that reaches unseen allies, ideas, opportunities, and men of similar faith who gather around him. Idle words, on the other hand, are spiritual waste. Every complaint, every expression of fear, every phrase of doubt is a seed of weakness. To speak of failure is to give it form. To describe limitation is to summon it. Speech, therefore, must be treated as sacred. It is the architect's tool by which the invisible becomes visible. Careless speech builds. It is the architect's tool by which the invisible becomes visible. Careless speech builds crooked walls in the house of success. Andrew Carnegie understood this truth. He built not only with steel, but with the language of authority. When he declared his intentions, thousands moved in harmony. Industries rose, and the foundations of fortune trembled beneath his voice. Men obeyed him not because of his position, but because his words carried the certainty of a man who had united his mind with a definite aim. Every human being possesses the same faculty of command, though few use it with discipline. One must learn to speak as a master within, not as a beggar of circumstance. Repetition is the training ground of belief. When the same words of conviction are repeated morning and night, they engrave new habits of thought upon the subconscious mind. Those habits then act automatically to bring conditions into harmony with the spoken decree. Begin their creation. Each morning upon waking, affirm definite purpose aloud with gratitude and belief. Each night before rest, speak words of assurance to your own heart. Say to yourself, "The power that moves through all creation moves. Every word I speak in faith becomes law in my world." The tone is not to impress others, but to instruct the inner self until it accepts your command as truth. Do not mistake faith for noise. The true voice of faith is calm and unwavering. It does not shout. It simply knows. A whisper of conviction carries greater creative power than 1,000 cries of uncertainty. When you have spoken your command, hold silence. Let the word take root in the subconscious without interference from fear or overanalysis. The farmer does not dig up his seed to see if it grows. He trusts the law of growth. So must you trust the law of command. Guard conversation as you would guard treasure. Speak of abundance, never of lack. Speak of strength, never of fear. Speak of victory, never of defeat. For as surely as the echo returns the sound, so life will return the nature of your words. The careless tongue impoverishes, the disciplined tongue enriches. Every great master of fortune has understood this. They speak little, but every word is deliberate, purposeful, alive with faith. You may test this law today. Choose a single sentence that represents your definite chief aim. It may be, "I am a builder of wealth through service and discipline," or "My mind is clear, my plan is sound, my destiny is assured." Write it, repeat it, and live it until your entire being vibrates with its rhythm. When discouragement whispers, respond with your command. When doubt knocks, silence it with the authority of belief. This discipline is not mere positive thinking. It is the training of mind and tongue to operate in perfect unity. The tongue must obey the vision, and the vision must remain steady. The man who speaks one thing and believes another divides his power and reaps confusion. The man whose word and faith are one becomes a force no circumstance can resist. The law of command requires moral discipline. Speak no promise you do not intend to keep. Every broken word weakens self-respect. The mind ceases to obey the man who lies to himself. When your word becomes a gain dominion over your own spirit. The universe favors the man who honors his declarations with persistent action. There is also power in measured silence. Those who constantly explain, justify, or defend their vision dissipate their energy. Speak your command once with conviction, then go about your work. The silence that follows will be charged with expectancy. Infinite intelligence works best when not disturbed by human interference. Remember, always speech is vibration, and vibration is creative motion. The rhythm of faith sets the rhythm of events. The tongue of man is the conductor of his destiny's orchestra. If you wish harmony, play no discordant note. Choose your words as a sculptor chooses his chisel, knowing that every strike shapes the form of your future. The law of command is eternal. It answers to all who speak in faith and act in purpose. Through it, ideas take shape, plans gain substance, and an invisible power flows into visible wealth. The word spoken in belief is the first act of creation. The deed is merely its completion. When you master your words, you master your world. Therefore, let your daily speech become a liturgy of purpose. Declare prosperity, health, and peace, not as future hopes, but as present realities taking form. Govern your conversations with the same precision you would apply to a business plan. Each statement is an investment in the treasury of your destiny. Let this truth settle in the depths of your being. Every word you speak is a command to your subconscious mind, and through it, a command to the universe. Speak as one already in possession of the life you desire, and that life will hasten to appear. From this day forward, measure your speech by one standard. Does it build or destroy? If it builds, speak it boldly. If it destroys, remain silent. The mind grows only in the atmosphere of constructive command. Through steady practice, your very voice will change. Calmer, more deliberate. Men will sense in you the vibration of authority and will unconsciously treat you as one ordained to lead. This is the silent proof of faith when one's words carry the resonance of certainty. The man who commands without arrogance, who speaks with measured conviction, is obeyed by both men and circumstance. He has learned that wealth, power, and peace are not begged from life. They are spoken into existence. Let your tongue then be an instrument of faith, not fear. Let your speech bear the fragrance of purpose in every conversation, in every prayer, in every silent thought. Remember, the universe moves at the sound of your belief. When a man learns to speak as if all heaven listens, he discovers that it does. There are men who spend their days explaining why life is, and there are others who use the same circumstances as material from which to build greatness. The difference lies not in opportunity, but in mystery. Every condition that surrounds a man is clay waiting for the pressure of his thought. The weak man calls it fate. The wise man calls it raw material. The mind is the seed of dominion. All external circumstance bends to its discipline. When a man learns that environment is a servant and not a master, he steps into true freedom. Poverty, difficulty, loneliness. These are not prisons, but instruments through which character is shaped and power discovered. The soul that has conquered itself cannot be enslaved by any outer condition. Circumstance is clay, not cage. The world does not fix you. It reveals you. It shows you the shape of your belief, the tone of your faith, the structure of your daily thinking. To change your life, you must first command your mental atmosphere. For no man can escape the environment he creates in thought. The outer world merely mirrors the inner arrangement of ideas. There are 3 circles of dominion that every individual must master: the mind, the association, and the action. Within the circle of the mind lies power to control thought, emotion, and imagination. Within the circle of association lies power to choose influences, companions, and counsel. Within the circle of action lies power through persistent execution. When these 3 operate in harmony, no external limitation can hold you. A man becomes the sum of his daily influences. Show me the 5 minds he consults most often, and I will show you the measure of his destiny. Environment is contagious. The spirit of one man can lift or destroy the faith of another. The mastermind principle rests upon this. Every successful person has surrounded himself with a group of minds united by harmony of purpose. Their combined faith becomes a force far greater than any single intellect could produce. Abraham Lincoln understood this. He chose not flatterers, but rivals, men of strength and independence. He knew that iron sharpens iron, and that truth is born through tension, not comfort. From those who opposed him, he drew wisdom. From those who challenged him, he drew strength. He was not mastered by their disagreement. He mastered himself through it. The man who selects his associates with care builds invisible wall protection around his vision. Choose companions who quicken your courage and enlarge your purpose. Avoid those whose presence diminishes your conviction. Every friendship is either an anchor or a sail. The choice between progress and delay often rests in the company you keep. There exists also a higher council, unseen but real. The invisible fellowship of great minds. One may summon their spirit through reflection and study. When a student of success fills his library with the words of Ford, Edison, Carnegie, and Lincoln, and meditates upon their principles, he enters into communion with them. Their thoughts begin to blend with his own. Their confidence seeps into his character. No man is ever truly alone who walks in the company of ideas. The greatest form of power is emotional control. Until a man commands himself, he cannot command circumstance. Anger, fear, envy, discouragement. These are storms that sink the ship of purpose. He who learns to remain calm amid opposition possesses the magnetic quality that draws order out of chaos. The calm mind becomes a throne from which all conditions are ruled. When panic sweeps through the market, the man of composure sees opportunity. Rockefeller did this. When others ran, he stood. When they feared, he planned. When they sold, he bought. The rhythm of his calm became a magnet for fortune. He understood that the tide of chaos always brings unseen wealth to those who can remain unshaken. Controlled attention is the secret of mastery. The mind that wanders creates confusion. The mind that focuses commands power. Energy follows attention. The man who fixes his thought on his aim gathers invisible forces around that aim until it becomes reality. Every dream dies not from lack of opportunity, but from lack of sustained focus. When one directs thought, emotion, and willpower toward a single definite chief aim, he becomes a magnetized center of attraction. Ideas, people, and circumstances begin to align themselves with his purpose. This is no miracle. It is law. The same current that binds planets in orbit binds man to the object of his faith. Write now the names of 5 minds, living or dead, that must shape your future. Let them be men or women of purpose, courage, and faith. Read of their lives, learn their methods, absorb their spirit. Imagine conversing with them in silent council. Ask what they would do in your place. Such exercise of imagination strengthens the bridge between the conscious and the infinite mind. Repeat this affirmation until it becomes conviction. I walk with the great minds of history, for their spirit walks with me. I am guided, strengthened, and upheld by the fellowship of purpose. The law of selection governs all growth. Every association either advances or hinders the march of destiny. Withdraw from company that feeds fear, idleness, or cynicism. Align with those whose belief reinforces your own. Nature tolerates no neutrality in the realm of influence. To drift with the weak is to sink. To think with the strong is to rise. True power requires composure. The man who must speak loudly to be heard commands no respect. Authority resides in quiet confidence. The one who knows where he is going need not announce it to the crowd. When definiteness fills the mind, it radiates through manner, bearing, and tone. People feel it before they hear it. Loneliness often visits those who are destined for mastery. Do not mistake it for abandonment. Solitude is the workshop of strength. Every prophet, inventor, and builder has known seasons of isolation. They are the gestation periods of genius. The seed must be buried before it rises, and the soul must retreat before it commands. In your hours of quiet, the voice of infinite intelligence speaks. It will not shout above noise. It whispers in stillness. When you learn to still the agitation of worry and fear, ideas will begin to rise from the depth of mind, plans, insights, and solutions beyond your conscious power. This is how the mastermind connects with the infinite. It is not found in crowds, but in communion. It is not found in crowds, but in communion. To become master of circumstance, one must learn to meet every experience with the question, what lesson does this contain for my advancement? The habit of seeing benefit in adversity transforms defeat into discipline. Every obstacle hides within it a seed of equal or greater opportunity. Those who search for that seed never remain victims of circumstance. They become its teacher. They become its teachers. The man who governs his environment is not the one born to advantage, but learn the divine art of adaptation. He takes the same material that breaks others and forges from it the tools of victory. To him, criticism becomes correction. Delay becomes preparation, and failure becomes education. Such a man cannot be destroyed, for he turns every blow into a step forward. Therefore, see your surroundings not as enemies, but as servants. Shape them through clarity of thought and constancy of faith. The outer world rearranges itself to match the inner command. When a man orders his mind, his affairs follow. When he drifts within, confusion reigns without. This mastery is not achieved in a day. It is the product of daily discipline, of speaking only what builds, thinking only what serves, and acting only toward the chief aim. But once attained, it renders a man unshakable. He walks through storms with serenity, through failure with faith, through success with humility. When such mastery is complete, the world ceases to be a battlefield and becomes a field of service. The man who commands himself commands all. Discipline is the proof of faith. It is the visible demonstration that belief has matured into obedience. Desire alone is a spark. Discipline is the steady flame that turns it into fire. Every man who has achieved greatness has learned that riches, whether of money, character, or power, come only to those who persist in their purpose long after the first excitement of ambition has faded. There is a sacredness in discipline that the idle never comprehend. A sacredness in discipline that the idle never comprehend. It is not a chain, but a covenant between the soul and its aim. It is the visible evidence that one's desire has ceased to be a wish and has become a vow. A man disciplined in thought and action no longer argues with himself. He acts every morning. He renews his agreement with his definite chief aim. He rises whether he feels like it or not. He works whether he is praised or forgotten. For he has learned that consistency is the mother of power, and power the servant of purpose. Faith without discipline is like a flame without fuel. It flashes brightly for a moment and then dies into smoke. The disciplined man feeds the fire each day with small acts of self-control, and through them he gains dominion over all greater things. The will, once trained, becomes an instrument of immense precision. It obeys the command of purpose as the compass obeys the pole. Through repetition, right action becomes habit, and habit becomes character. Every great fortune stands upon 1,000 quiet victories over self. The victories are not dramatic. They are silent, steady, relentless. They are the choice to persist one more hour, to think one more thought, to refine one more plan when the world has gone to sleep. The mountain of success is climbed one invisible step at a time, while those who chase ease drift into valleys of mediocrity. Consider the example of Thomas Edison. He failed 10,000 times in pursuit of a single invention. Each failure was a messenger of refinement, not defeat. He did not disobey discouragement. He mastered it. Every trial purified his resolve until his purpose became stronger than fatigue, stronger than doubt, stronger than failure itself. This is the sacred discipline of riches, the refusal to yield to the first whisper of surrender. Discipline transforms adversity into education. Every obstacle is a lesson in disguise, sent to strengthen the muscles of persistence. The man who flees from difficulty robs himself of strength. The one who endures difficulty with understanding multiplies his capacity for success. Nature never withholds reward from those who obey her laws of labor, patience, and rhythm. The wise student of success builds his day around the hour of devotion, a daily appointment with his definite chief aim. In that hour, he studies his purpose, renews his faith, refines his plans, and visualizes the next step with clarity. He treats it not as a duty, but as worship. For discipline is devotion, the worship of principle through consistent action. Fatigue is the whisper of the devil, but persistence is the answer of the soul. When the body cries for rest, when the mind longs to drift, the man of purpose remembers why he began. He calls upon the unseen reserves of faith, and those reserves answer him. For the universe assists the one who refuses to abandon his aim. There is a moral code written into the structure of success. The universe entrusts its treasures only to those who have proved they can guard them. Fortune is cautious. It lends abundance only to those whose character will not squander it. That is why discipline precedes abundance, whose character will not squander it. That is why discipline precedes abundance. Wealth is not merely earned. It is deserved through obedience to the laws that govern its creation and use. Each repetition of right action builds invisible strength. The man who rises early to study, who speaks with restraint, who saves before he spends, who plans before he acts, accumulates unseen power. Day by day, that power gathers until one decisive moment when opportunity appears, and he prepared by discipline seizes it while others hesitate. The greatest danger to all who aspire is the spirit of drifting. Comfort once permitted becomes a narcotic. It dulls the edge of ambition and lulls the will into sleep. To drift is to surrender the throne of one's own mind to habit and chance. The disciplined man steers his ship daily by the compass of purpose. He may rest, but never drift. Select one habit that once mastered will make all others bow before it. It may make all others bow before it. It may be the habit of rising early, of saving a fixed portion of income, of daily study, or of finishing every task begun. Master that one discipline, and it will bring order to every other life. For habits are linked like gears. Move one, and all begin to turn. Write it now. Declare it as law. Promise yourself that this habit shall become your proof of mastery. Then obey that promise until obedience becomes pleasure. That single discipline will become the keystone upon which your entire success is built. Repeat to yourself, I will persist until I prevail. I will obey my purpose until wealth obeys me. Remember Andrew Carnegie. For years he labored without reward, laying foundations others could not see. He waited, not idly, but faithfully, certain that preparation must precede profit. When the moment came, he was ready. His patience turned to power. His obedience became dominion. The man who can wait without losing intensity is already master of himself and therefore master of opportunity. Discipline is not restriction, it is liberation. The undisciplined man is a slave to impulse. The disciplined man is free to act according to reason. Structure does not imprison. It directs energy toward its highest purpose. The river that flows within its banks powers the mill. The flood that overflows its limits destroys. Freedom without order is chaos. Those who fail the test of delay without order is chaos. Those who fail the test of delay reveal their unreadiness to hold abundance. The delay is not denial, it is verification. Life tests every aspirant before it crowns him. It whispers, "Are you faithful?" and waits for the answer in action. Each time you persist in discipline despite weariness, you affirm your readiness to receive. Patience is a weapon sharper than anger. It cuts through resistance without noise. The disciplined man moves steadily forward while the impatient encircles. Time which defeats the weak becomes the ally of the steadfast. Every passing day builds interest upon the investment of perseverance. The rhythm of success is exact. Each act of devotion returns multiplied results in its own season. The man who plants effort today will harvest certainty tomorrow. Even when he sees no visible progress, he trusts the invisible process, for he knows that nature honors consistency above all things. Discipline is the unseen architect of every fortune. It is the builder that continues its work when enthusiasm fades. Many begin with energy. Few continue with endurance. The world crowns not the one who starts, but the one who finishes. The finish line of every dream is guarded by the angel of persistence. Only those who endure to the end pass through. Hold your purpose before you as a sacred trust. Guard it from the poison of inconsistency. Rise each day as its guardian. Retire each night as its witness. Let no emotion, no opinion, no temporary setback persuade you to break your vow. For discipline is nothing less than faith in action, faith that refuses to bend to circumstance. And when success finally arrives, and it will come not as a surprise, but as the natural outcome of order. The disciplined man receives abundance without arrogance, knowing it is the child of his obedience. His peace is not dependent upon fortune. His fortune is dependent upon peace. Therefore, cultivate the sacred discipline of riches. Let every hour serve a purpose, every word carry weight, every thought build strength. In time, your actions will become prayer, your persistence worship, and your results a hymn of triumph sung to the law that never fails. Riches, like faith, are born of repetition. Every day of obedience is a seed. Every seed multiplies, and the harvest of that multiplication is freedom, the freedom that only the disciplined can know. There comes a moment in the life of every earnest seeker when ambition matures into stewardship. He no longer seeks wealth for personal gain, but for the order it can bring, the peace it can secure, and the example it can set. Dominion begins where greed ends. It is mastery over fear, over doubt, and over delay. The man who has conquered these has conquered the only enemies that can destroy him. True wealth is not measured by coins, but by command. Command over self, over time, over thought. The richest man is he who governs his emotions, disciplines his habits, and directs his energies toward definite purpose. Money follows such a man as a servant follows his master, for he no longer chases. It comes to him by natural law. Yet riches carry moral weight. The true millionaire is not one who merely possesses wealth, but one who administers it in harmony with the laws of service and growth. To him, prosperity is sacred trust. He understands that his success must become the foundation upon which others may build. Wealth without wisdom perishes, but wealth guided by character becomes civilization's blessing. You must therefore become not only the creator of fortune, but its custodian. Build your family's creed upon purpose, not indulgence. Let your descendants inherit not luxury, but principle. For it is not gold that endures, but the belief that created it. The greatest inheritance is not money, it is mentality. Study the example of the Rothschilds, who understood the power of organized family purpose. Generation after generation, they kept alive one unbroken idea: unity, prudence, discipline. Their wealth was not the work of chance. It was the result of continuity. Each heir becoming student and successor to the same vision. The family mind was richer than its vaults. Belief is hereditary, but only if it is demonstrated. Children do not inherit faith from sermons. They inherit it from examples. When they see a father rise with purpose, work with order, and speak with conviction, they absorb those laws unconsciously. The principles that build fortune become habits of thought, and those habits repeated through generations become culture. Thus, every man who builds a fortune becomes an ancestor of destiny. What he believes, his blood will remember. What he practices, his descendants will repeat. Your daily actions are writing the first chapter of a book that others will continue. Let that book teach courage, self-reliance, and faith. Let it show that poverty cannot enslave a determined mind, nor fear defeat a persistent heart. To secure this legacy, record your philosophy. Write your lessons, your discoveries, your methods. Preserve the story of how discipline shaped you. In every generation, there are those who drift because the wisdom of their forefathers was never written. Let it not be so with you. The spoken word fades. The written word endures. Through your record, your spirit will remain a teacher long after your voice has grown silent. The law of transmission is exact. What you repeat becomes permanent. What you neglect disappears. Therefore, keep your principles alive through repetition. Repetition in thought, in speech, in study. Read the great books again, thought, in speech, in study. Read the great books again and again. Listen to great speeches until their rhythm becomes part of your own breath. Knowledge cannot transform a man until it becomes instinct. And instinct is born of repetition. Do not read once and forget. Read until understanding turns to conviction, and conviction becomes power. Return to these lessons as a farmer returns to his soil. Each reading will yield new harvests of wisdom. The truths of success are eternal, but their revelation deepens with every encounter. The same book that enlightened you today will awaken you more profoundly tomorrow. Great speeches, noble words, and inspired writings are instruments of transformation. Each time you listen with sincerity, your mind aligns more perfectly with the rhythm of their truth. When repeated, these teachings form mental grooves through which power flows without resistance. The student who studies once learns. The student who studies daily becomes. Learning is the eternal discipline of dominion. No man graduates from self-improvement. He may earn titles, possessions, or fame, but he remains a student of the infinite. The wise never cease to listen, for they know that greatness is a journey, not a destination. Each day offers a new truth hidden within familiar words, waiting to reveal itself to the mind prepared by attention. To rule others, one must first rule self. To rule self, one must first submit to learning. The humble heart becomes the mastermind because it never closes. The moment a man stops learning, his dominion begins to decay. The mind that feeds daily on great ideas grows strong. The one that starves becomes weak and drifts. Let your home be filled with the voices of wisdom. Let every idle hour become an hour of study. Replace complaint with reflection, gossip with meditation, distraction with education. Greatness grows quietly in those who dwell in the presence of great thought. As wealth increases, let generosity increase with it. The act of giving completes the circle of abundance. Carnegie understood this law when he filled nations with libraries instead of luxuries. He knew that money multiplies when invested in minds. To give is not to lose. It is to extend one's influence beyond the limits of a single life. Through giving, you release the spirit of dominion from the narrow confines of self. You become a builder of civilization. The hand that uplifts another strengthens itself. The wealth that blesses as others becomes eternal wealth, for it is stored in the hearts it has awakened. Write a letter to the future heir of your name. Tell him what you have learned about courage, persistence, and purpose. Tell him that faith is greater than fortune, that character outlasts comfort, that discipline is the guardian of all achievement. Let him know that you built your life not upon chance, but upon law. Place within that letter your highest command. Carry forward the vision until the family name stands for victory. Repeat often the affirmation of dominion. Through me, my bloodline rises. Through my faith, they prosper. Through my work, they learn the power of purpose. Through my example, they find freedom. Remember that your life is not yours alone. Every act of courage redeems an ancestor. Every act of study prepares a descendant. You stand at the center of a chain that stretches backward into forgotten centuries and forward into unborn ages. The strength you build today will become the inheritance of tomorrow. Prosperity, when rightly understood, is proof of righteousness in action. It is the reward of living in harmony with divine law. To master wealth is to master responsibility. The disciplined, educated, generous soul becomes a channel through which infinite intelligence distributes its abundance to the world. Let your name become a symbol of faith fulfilled. Let it remind the living that fear is a choice and that greatness is earned through service. The world remembers not those who possessed riches, but those who directed them toward upliftment. Dominion is immortality and motion, the continuation of purpose through influence that never dies. And when the final hour arrives, let no regret trouble your rest. Leave behind not debts of fear, but deposits of strength. Let those who come after you inherit a name synonymous with courage, faith, and achievement. For wealth, once sanctified by purpose, cannot perish. It lives in every life it touches. The man who has mastered himself, educated his mind, disciplined his habits, and shared his abundance has already achieved immortality. His deeds echo long after the body sleeps. His words, studied and repeated, continue to shape those who listen. His example becomes the sermon of eternity. So study daily, listen repeatedly, return to these teachings as one returns to the source of life. For each hearing will deepen understanding, each reading will strengthen will, and each practice will draw you nearer to mastery. Greatness is not gained by knowing once, it is gained by remembering always. Thus the circle closes. Desire becomes faith, faith becomes discipline, discipline becomes dominion, and dominion becomes legacy. You were not chosen to gather riches alone, but to build alone, but to build a dynasty of thought, courage, and purpose that no time can destroy. Through your persistence, a generation will rise. Through your example, a world will awaken. You were the first to conquer, but not the last. Thank you for listening until the end of the video. If you found it helpful, hit subscribe so you won't miss the next business lessons. Share your startup idea in the comments. I'd love to hear your story and learn together. See you in the next video on Listen to Get Rich.